Hello, this video will cover Act 2, Prologue, Scenes 1 and 2. We will take a look at the famous balcony scene. Some of the lines from this scene will sound familiar to you, such as the line, "Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou Romeo?" Before I begin, I wanted to remark on the fact that this play moves so quickly because it takes place over the course of 4 days. So Romeo and Juliet meet on day 1, the evening at the Capulet party, and by day 4, they're dead. So let's take a look at the new developments in Act 2 and learn about two new literary devices, soliloquy and aside. Act 2 begins with a prologue where we have a narrator telling us important past details. Now keep in mind, hours ago, Romeo was still hung up and dreadfully in love with a girl named Rosaline. This prologue tells us, quote, "Now Romeo is beloved and loves again, alike betwixt by the charm of looks." So Romeo has completely moved on and is head over heels in love with Juliet, and Juliet feels the same. Unfortunately, there are plenty of problems ahead for the two young lovers. Keep in mind, they belong to feuding families, so their relationship, or even their marriage, seems nearly impossible because the families hate one another. It is also hard for them to meet because Juliet is stuck at her house and has very limited mobility. The prologue outlines the hardships that the lovers will endure when it says, "Being held a foe or enemy, he, as in Romeo, may not have access to breathe such marriage vows as lovers used to swear, and she, Juliet, as much in love, her means much less. Due to her gender, she has far less freedom than her male counterpart, to meet her new beloved anywhere." Scene 1 opens immediately after the Capulet party has ended. Everyone takes to the streets and starts to head home. After the party, Romeo's friends search for him, but he is hidden in an orchard, as in bushes and trees behind the Capulet's household. Mercutio, Romeo's best friend, teases Romeo and says things like, "Romeo, where are you?" Romeo humors madman, as in crazy man, passion, lover. Then he says, when they cannot find Romeo, "The ape is dead, and I must conjure him. Perhaps I can conjure thee by Rosaline's bright eyes." So Mercutio is taunting Romeo with Rosaline, because keep in mind, Romeo has only recently, in the last few minutes, fallen in love with Juliet, so everyone still assumes that Romeo has it bad for Rosaline still. So Mercutio and the buddies, making fun of Romeo for being so in love with Rosaline, try to find Romeo in the orchid by teasing him with Rosaline's bright eyes and calling him silly names like crazy man, madman, and lover. Romeo hears everything that Mercutio and his friends are saying about him, and he doesn't like it. So he stays hidden in the bushes, and Benvolio, right, good and kind Benvolio, finally says, "Come on, let's go. Come, he hath hid himself among these trees, and to seek him here, that means not to be found. Let's move on, let's go home, and leave Romeo alone, because he clearly wants to wallow in his misery and not be found." After Romeo's friends walk away, Romeo realizes that he is alone, hidden in the Capulet's backyard. Romeo is still hiding in the orchard when he sees Juliet emerge onto the balcony. Juliet does not know that Romeo is secretly watching her, and Romeo gazes lovingly at her. Romeo says, "But soft, what light through yonder window breaks? It is the east, and Juliet is the sun." He's comparing Juliet's amazing beauty to the bright, beautiful light of the sun. He goes on to say, "Oh, that I wish I were a glove upon that hand, that I might touch that cheek." So as he sees Juliet rest her beautiful face onto her hand, he remarks that he wishes he could be a glove on her hand so that he could touch her beautiful face. The scene shifts to the perspective of Juliet, and we see her deliver a soliloquy. A soliloquy is an act of speaking one's thoughts out loud when by oneself or regardless of any hearers, especially by a character in a play. So Juliet has just left her party, she's retired to her bedroom, and she's ventured out to her balcony to express how she's felt about the night. She's elated and she's happy and she's in love. So Juliet gives a soliloquy on the balcony because she thinks she is alone. However, the audience knows that Romeo is secretly listening. Juliet says, "O Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou Romeo? Where are you, Romeo? Deny thy father, and refuse thy name, or, if thou wilt not, be but sworn, my love, and I'll no longer be a Capulet." So Juliet is entertaining the idea of perhaps changing her name to Montague in that she'll marry him, or suggesting that maybe Romeo can abandon his name so that they can easily be together. Because as of right now, them joining together is impossible because the families despise one another. She goes on to say, "'Tis but thy name that is my enemy. Thou art thyself, though not a Montague." So she's saying she's ignoring the fact that he's a Montague, and she's just looking at who he is for a person, and that person is someone she loves, regardless of their family name. When Juliet speaks these words about Romeo, she thinks that she is alone, even though we as the audience understand that Romeo is secretly spying on her. But because she thinks she is alone, it's a soliloquy. However, a character can give a soliloquy when they are truly alone. A good example of this kind of soliloquy is the stereotypical even evil villain speech. In this clip I'm about to show you, we can see Ursula from The Little Mermaid give a soliloquy because she is speaking by herself to herself.
Boys, that was a close one. Too close. The little tramp. Oh, she's better than I thought. At this rate, he'll be kissing her by sunset for sure. Well, it's time Ursula took matters into her own tentacles.
Triton's daughter will be mine. And then I'll make him writhe. I'll see him wriggle like a worm on a hook.
Momentarily, we will watch the balcony scene. We will watch Romeo hiding in Juliet's orchard, and he will gaze at Juliet's beauty. Juliet's soliloquy begins with her words, "O Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou Romeo?" And as a final reminder, remember that a soliloquy can happen when a character is actually alone, like in the Ursula clip we just watched, or a soliloquy can happen when a character thinks they are alone, but in reality, someone else is secretly listening, like in this case with Juliet and Romeo eavesdropping.
But soft. What light from yonder window breaks? It is my lady. Oh, it is my love. Oh, that she knew she were. She speaks, yet she says nothing. What of that? Her eye discourses. I will answer it. I am too bold. 'Tis not to me she speaks. Two of the fairest stars in all the heavens, having some business, to entreat her eyes to twinkle in their spheres till they return. See how she leans her cheek upon her hand. Oh, that I were a glove upon that hand, that I might touch that cheek.
Oh, me.
She speaks. Oh, speak again, bright angel.
Oh, Romeo, Romeo. Wherefore art thou, Romeo? Deny thy father, and refuse thy name. Or if thou wilt not, be but sworn my love, and I'll no longer be a Capulet.
The balcony scene also provides us with an example of aside. An aside is a short comment by a character towards the audience, often for another character but usually without their knowledge. An aside is also known as breaking the fourth wall, and that occurs when a character speaks directly to the audience, unbeknownst of the characters around them. So an easy way to remember what an aside is to think about the word side. So the character steps aside, as in out of the scene, to remove themselves from the scene in order to speak out of earshot from the other characters surrounding them. In this next short clip, we will see an example of an aside. The woman looking directly at the camera is trying to ask her sister for money. The woman will start to speak directly to the audience, essentially breaking the fourth wall, and you'll see that the other character will be totally unaware.
I'm just gonna ask her. I'm just gonna ask her. I'm just gonna ask her. Just gonna come.
Do you need to borrow money?
No. Can't do it. Can't do it. Can't do it.
While Juliet gives her soliloquy, she goes on and on about how much she loves Romeo. Romeo is chomping at the bit to make himself known, reveal himself from the trees, so that they can engage in a conversation together. Romeo delivers an aside when he says, "Shall I hear more, or shall I speak at this?" Meaning, should I allow her to continue to go on and say these lovely things about me, or should I reveal myself and enter a conversation with her? Shall I speak at this? Romeo continues to watch Juliet perform her soliloquy. He eventually comes out of hiding, and Juliet is terrified by the stranger stalking her from below, because she doesn't yet realize that it's Romeo.
Or if thou wilt not, be but sworn my love, and I'll no longer be a Capulet.
Shall I hear more, or shall I speak of this?
'Tis but thy name that is my enemy. Thou art thyself, though, not a Montague. What is Montague? It is nor hand, nor foot, nor arm, nor face, nor any other part belonging to a man. Oh, be some other name. What's in a name? That which you call a rose, by any other name would smell as sweet. So Romeo would, were he not Romeo called, retain that dear perfection which he owes without that title. Romeo doff thy name, and for that name which is no part of thee, take all myself.
I take thee at thy word. Call me but love, and I'll be new baptized. Henceforth, I never will be Romeo.
Once Juliet realizes that some strange man is lurking in the shadows of her orchard, she rightfully runs away out of fear. However, Romeo reveals his true identity, and she's embarrassed that Romeo was spying on her, but soon she's happy and they start talking. Juliet asks him questions like, "Romeo, how camest thou hither? Tell me, and wherefore? the orchard walls are high and hard to climb. She's saying, dude, how did you get here? The walls are super high. How did you manage to find me and climb those walls? Romeo, rather poetically, says, oh, I climbed the walls with love's light wings, meaning that the power of love carried him over the walls. So Romeo is a lot more or a lot less realistic than Juliet. Juliet responds, if they do see you, if my father sees you, they will murder thee. If they do see thee, they will murder thee. Later in the conversation, Juliet is worried that Romeo may be lying. Maybe he's not as invested in the relationship as she is. So she asks him to swear his love, sort of like how someone might say, oh, do you pinky promise? She asks him to swear his love, and being poetic again, he swears by the moon, right? He picks something natural and bright and beautiful. But Juliet becomes a little agitated by this because she says, oh, swear not by the moon, the inconstant moon that monthly changes in her circled orb. So she's saying, how dare you swear by something that literally changes every night, right? The moon changes its shape every night throughout the month. So she wants Romeo to swear by something more constant. And as the conversation goes on, Juliet, with a little help from Romeo, but it's basically Juliet's brainchild, she creates a plan to arrange a wedding for them. Unfortunately, she cannot leave the house ever because she's a young woman, so they will have to communicate through messengers. Now we will watch the end of the balcony scene. We will learn that Juliet is the much more mature and responsible one. She wants their relationship to really last, so she wants promises of marriage and to see that Romeo can prove that his love is honorable. Romeo has great intentions, he loves Juliet, but he is much more invested in the physical aspects of love and wants intimacy and kissing and things like that.
Oh, wilt thou leave me so unsatisfied?
What satisfaction canst thou have tonight?
The exchange of thy love's faithful vow for mine.
I gave thee mine before thou didst request it, and yet I would it were to give again.
Wouldst thou withdraw it? For what purpose, love?
But to be frank, and give it thee again. And yet I wish but for the thing I have. My bounty is as boundless as the sea. My love as deep. The more I give to thee, the more I have. For both are infinite. Anon, good nurse. Sweet Montague, be true.
Madam!
Stay but a little. I will come again.
Madam? Lady Juliet!
Blessed night! Oh, I'm afeard being a knight! Oh, this is but a dream! Too flattering sweet to be substantial!
3 words, dear Romeo, and good night indeed. If that thy bent of love be honourable,
Yes.
thy purpose marriage, send me word tomorrow by one that I'll procure to come to thee, where and what time thou wilt perform the rite. And all my fortunes at thy foot I lay, and follow thee, my lord, throughout the world.
At the conclusion of Act 2, Scene 2, we see that the lovers are full of joy and they're eager to embark on the future of their relationship. The only thing for Romeo to do now is to secure a marriage between the two of them, which will be difficult to do because everyone in town knows that the families are feuding. Romeo is going to seek out the town priest called Friar Lawrence, and we will see what happens from there. Thank you for watching this video. Please read the description box below for my contact information. Do not hesitate to reach out with questions for me, and feel free to leave comments down below. Stay well, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!